Alright, I thought I'd do a overview of the Z960M from John Deere, and pardon the not very nice location here. I just try to get out of the wind. The wind kicks up now and then, so I'm just trying to keep the wind noise down, so I'm using this old barn as the windbreak. Alright, so we'll just go over an overview of the mower first. This is one of the commercial mowers from John Deere. It's the Z900 series, and of the 900 series it's the M series, so you've got the Z900B, the M, and then the R series in that order as far as the pricing and the level of features and so on. The M series, I believe actually all of them use the same frame, and I think all of the M series I know uses the exact same wheel motors and pump and everything. You know, the transmission basically is all the same. And the R series, you get like the cross porting to help, you know, cool the fluid, and also the comfort and convenience package, which gives you the PTO on-off on the control levers there, as well as the like an electric deck lift, or it may be hydraulic. I'm not sure if it's electric or hydraulic, but anyway, so on the 960, and the other reason I'm doing this is because I haven't really seen many videos about the Z960M in particular. I believe this was released in January of this year, sometime in 2016. So it's October 2016 as I'm recording this, and we'll just do a little walk around. Basically, like I said, all the M series are pretty much the same, except for deck choices, engine size, and things like that. So on this one I have the 7-iron Pro 60-inch deck. So the Pro, I've heard that it's pretty close to the 7-iron 2, but this is the 7-iron Pro. Has nice thick, I wish it was actually a little bit thicker, but I don't think I'll have any problem with it. Where the anti-scalping wheels, there's that. There's two here in the front on the middle, and one on each side obviously, and there's two on each side in the back, and actually way in there, I don't know if you could actually see it. Maybe I can. There's actually anti-scalp wheel. I think that's it. Anti-scalp wheel there in the back of the deck. You wouldn't really know it was there if you didn't look closely. So I've got mine adjusted in the middle. There are markings there. So anywhere from 2 1/4 to what was that, 3 inches, or 3 1/4. I think you set it to where basically the lowest that you're going to go. So I'm never really going to mow lower than about 3 1/2 inches anyway. So the tires on the back are the Carlisle Turfmaster 24-12-12, and those are just fine except for the traction on the hills. I may think about changing those out to the Chevron, the AT101 Chevron tires, which is like a lug type tire. You know, it's not really aggressive, but it's, you know, there's like the bars that come down from the middle, creates like a, you know, upside down V. So these tires are actually pretty decent, and I've lowered the pressure to make the ride a little bit smoother down to about 9 pounds, maybe a little bit less. And I've jumped up and down on to make sure that the tires don't roll, you know, on the sides and give much, but it does make the ride smoother. And I have the suspension seat. This is basically the Mills Co. Michigan Deluxe suspension seat, so you've got the weight adjustment here in the middle. You can adjust it back and forth there. The seat back angle right here, you can adjust that so it's sitting a little more forward, a little more backwards. There's actually, I don't know if you can see it, I can't really see it right now, but there's a little shock absorber and some springs in there. Little lumbar support adjustment here. I haven't really noticed that it really does much of anything. And of course there's a seat belt on there. So under the plate here, where you can just lift this up easily, access to the belts, and the center spindle for lubing it. All of the spindles have a very easy to access grease point, which is really nice. I had an X-Mark before this and they were sealed bearings and I had to replace one, so I really like to have the greasable spindles so I could fill those full of grease all the time and keep the water out. Parking brake here. There's the over here on the control panel, you get your PTO on and off, little rocker switch. The adjustment for the height, you just basically press down on the foot pedal over here, press it down, and then you can release the pressure on it, and then you can change it to whatever you want. So 3.5 is usually where I'm at, and press up on it, turn it, and that lowers the deck all the way. If you want to go into the transport position for the deck, press it down all the way, turn it counterclockwise, and now you've got your deck locked. Choke here for the non-EFI engine, throttle, and the key here. If you do turn the key on and off 3 times without the engine running, well, obviously it's not running, turn it on and off 3 times, you get a little diagnostic mode here. So that little wrench light as it's flashing over here, there's codes, like, so for example, if you try to start it without the emergency brake on, you look down here and you'll see some common codes that are down there. I don't know if there's any more than that or if there's more, but you can look in the book and find the rest of them. And also has the fuel gauge, which my X-Mark didn't have. I had kind of an older, it's a 2008 X-Mark Laser Z Advantage series. That's what I had before. The fuel filler here, I would rather that be a little bit wider. It's not really all that wide, but it's not really going to create any problems, but the wider the better. So we've been over the deck. Let me just show you something here real quick about the deck. If you're mowing, I took the discharge chute off because it's just going to be in my way and I'm always going to have it up anyway. There's just a rod that comes through here and a little pin that's permanently attached. I just cut the end off with the tip of a hacksaw blade and I just pulled it out with that pin, pull out the pin with a pair of vice grips, and then you just slide the rod out. Easy to put back in if I want, and then use a cotter pin to put it in there. You know, I'm just using this for residential use and I'm never going to need a discharge chute. Now, one thing that I wanted to show you about the blade is right here, and if you look, basically that blade is right at the tip, or at the edge of the mower on the right side here. Excuse me. So basically, if you get the edge of this deck up against something, that's where you're going to be cutting. So that's really nice. You know, you get all the way up to the edge of the deck, you're cutting. And on this side, the left side, you're actually going to be probably maybe a ½ inch back in there because you've got the protective bar here welded to the edge of the deck and the deck itself. And so there's going to be a little bit of a recessed area of the deck where you're not cutting. So you know, the blade itself is probably maybe right in here. So that's really not too much that you're missing. Of course, it has a cup holder and a little storage cubby there for something. So I think that's, these are the semi-pneumatic tires, which honestly I've got mixed feelings about them. There is no valve stem if you look, because basically there's nowhere to put air in them because they're semi-pneumatic, meaning that there's a channel in there on the inside that does have air in it, so it does have a little bit of give, and there's really no way to make it flat. They wear out over time. You just replace the whole thing. I assume you'd probably have to, I don't know if you replace the rim or if you get the wheel and everything together, but either way, these things, they're a little bit more rough on the ride. You know, they kind of bounce around a little bit more than a regular air-filled tire. If you had an air-filled tire, you could actually lower the pressure a little bit to where it's still safe and works well, but you get a little more cushion out of it. So those do contribute to a little bit of a rough ride. And the engine is the FX921V from Kawasaki. It's a 31 horsepower. It's got about 54 pound-feet of torque, peak torque, and it's got the really nice Donaldson air filter, a two-stage air filter. There's an inner air filter and an outer air filter. Down here, as you see the valve cover, it's got 3 valves per cylinder. I don't know which the two are, 2 intakes versus 2 exhaust, or is it 2 intake and 1 exhaust, or 2 exhaust and 1 intake? I'm not really sure. I didn't look that up. You might be thinking, well, that's kind of pain in the rear to get the engine cover off there, but really this whole piece removes quickly with a bolt here and here, and then also here and here. So it's really pretty easy to get that off, just a couple minutes, and it's totally out of the way. And then you have full access to the back of the engine to do the valve adjustments, valve clearance adjustments, which need to be done periodically. And so the exhaust is here, and the oil drain is in here. There's a tube, a little nipple on the bottom where you can put a tube for draining it, but honestly I don't know if I really need that, because you just slide your drain pan right underneath, and as long as this is pointing straight down, which it is, it should go straight into the pan. You just loosen this little square nut, square bolt or whatever on the end of it, and everything will drain right out of there. And if you want a really nice oil filter, this is the factory filter on there still, but Wix makes a 51394 for this engine. Actually fits a lot of other engines. Just check Wix website for the OEM filters part number, and then you'll be able to cross-reference that with the appropriate Wix filter. And that is very good quality, made in the USA oil filter. So on the seat, you've got this bar here to release it. Oh, it's kind of heavy. And then you've got this bar here, which locks it in place so it won't come back on you. The suspension seat here, I think if you, well, you know what, I saw the shock absorber from the front, but it's kind of hard to see on video, so I won't do that. But the battery's down here, the shock absorber down here, or whatever this is, spring, there's no shock absorber, it's just a spring, but I think that is for the deck. I think this connection here goes down to the linkage right here for the deck, and so I guess that's when it's bouncing around. That's kind of how it absorbs some of the shock. And then this here is the this is what you change for the height adjustments. So it's just kind of got different notches for the height. And this is the hydraulic fluid for the 2 wheel motors. Wheel motors are down here underneath this screen. This does get leaves and grass built up on the top of it, so you want to make sure you blow that out. And mine is really only got about 4.5 hours on it, so it's basically brand new, and it's all cleaned up. So there's one here, one there. Each wheel has its own wheel motor. The oil filter, or the oil filler, is here. There's a oil cooler mounted to the side of the engine shroud. Sorry if there's any wind noise. I'm trying to stay out of the wind, but can't avoid it all the time. The fuel tank is 11.5 gallons, I believe. There's only one tank just over there, which is nice. You only had to fill up one. On my old Exmark, again, it was kind of an older model, had 2 tanks I had to fill. It's kind of annoying, and it didn't have the fuel gauge. So the rollover bar, go back. It's really quick and easy to get down. You basically pull the clip out of here, and then you can pull the pin out, lower it down, either halfway or all the way. So I guess that's really about it. I can't think of anything else that I really wanted to go over. I'm going to leave that up right now because it's too hard to get down while I'm holding the camera. But yeah, I've been very impressed with it so far. One of the things that makes it really nice for cutting in the tall grass is this wide open discharge area here on the deck. I mean, because this is probably the Exmark I had, I guess, probably had a chute or an opening that was about right in here. So this one's probably about a third bigger. Now, granted, the deck on the Exmark was a 52-inch deck, and this is a 60. But yeah, cutting through the tall grass just as a test, in the field, which is not what I would do normally. Well, it shoots that grass out about 10 feet, I would say. And the 7-iron deck has a very good reputation, the 7-iron Pro. Great reputation for cutting thick, wet grass in spring, which I've got plenty of here in the southwestern Ohio area. And I don't know, I'm not really sure what else to say about it. The machine is built very well. And the deck belt, if you need to replace that, that's going to be about $100. And the only other belt on it is the transmission belt. Kind of goes around the engine and up to the wheel motors. I think that one's more like $40 or so. It's coming a lot of wind, so I hope you don't get too much wind here, wind noise. Not really sure what. Oh, you know what? These are actually weights. It's part of the bumper built into the back of it. As far as I know, they're included from the factory. I didn't ask the dealer for these, but they were already on here, so I don't know if that's just something that John Deere installs from the factory, but there they are. I'm getting the hitch kit, which is about a $40 piece, just more or less just a piece of angle iron that comes up, well, steel, and back a little bit. It gives you a little trailer hitch, and the towing capacity they say is 400 pounds. I've just got a little utility trailer I'd be using to haul around miscellaneous yard debris and so on, and should work really well for that. So just take a quick look under here. Starter's up under here. Looks like the starter solenoid is part of the, well, mounted to the starter area where the Exmark I had. This solenoid was actually mounted down here on the deck. So that's that. There's a fuse in here, there's a fuse in here, and there's a, right there is the voltage regulator. So I'm just thinking if there's anything else I can talk about here. I think I've pretty much covered it all. I'm just trying to go over a close look of it, since I don't really see many videos on this specific model. Maybe just because of the newer model and not many people buy it, but because of the engine size. But it is the John Deere ZTrak Z960M, again with the 7-iron Pro 60-inch deck. And I plan on keeping this for quite a long time. I'm going to be a long-term owner. Again, this is just for my residential use. I've got several acres of grass I need to cut. So there you have it. Thanks for watching.